The oil bust deepened in the heart of North Dakota's Bakken oil field this winter. But new houses and apartments are still going up in places like Watford City. That's because when the boom began here back in the mid-2000s, there was nowhere near enough housing. Mayor Brent Sanford says Watford City's infrastructure, stores, roads, housing, was overwhelmed by all the new people.
We had to build a 10,000 person community around a small little circle of 1,700 of us.
We're currently located right here.
Dale Walters is a property manager. He moved here in 2014 from Southern California. He says it was a crazy time.
This was probably one of the most exciting places that I have been in a working environment. It was, when we first got here, it was 18-hour day, 7 days a week.
The population of Watford City had doubled in the previous 4 years, and that was probably an underestimate. Oil workers and their families were forced to live in crowded, ramshackle RV parks because there wasn't enough permanent housing, and the rents in the newly built apartments reached into the $2,000 range, rivaling New York City. Finally, new construction caught up. In 2014 alone, Watford City issued 1,700 building permits. That's up from one a decade before. But then, in the winter of 2015, the price of oil crashed. Construction projects that were already underway are still being completed, but almost nothing new is being planned. And a lot of what has already been built is unoccupied. A year into the bust, Walters says half of the 280 units he manages are empty, and he can't charge nearly as much for rent.
When we arrived here, I was personally paying $2,850 a month for a one-bedroom furnished place here in town in Watford City. Those units are running now down around $1,400 a month.
On the outskirts of Watford City, the Rock and Arrow RV Park is also emptier than at the height of the boom.
It's going to give me some concern, but it isn't really something I can control.
Owner Rusty Briggs moved here in 2011 from Oregon. He thinks there will always be a need for RV parks like his. Oilfield work is transient, and for a lot of workers, an RV is still more appealing than renting an apartment.
But I just think we have a consistent core of people that it's the cheapest way to live when you're up here, and they're really up here for temporary jobs. Some of my pipeline guys, if they get a section in this area, they're only here for 60 miles, and then when that's up, they're naturally going to go take their trailer, go to the next job, or maybe they're just here seasonal for the construction season, like with all the infrastructure work and the bypass, and then they're going to go back home.
Sanford agrees, but ultimately he'd like to see more people living in permanent housing, and he thinks most people would want to if they had the choice.
And ask yourself, do these families all want to live in campers, or would they rather live in a single family house that's a normal price, or an apartment that's a normal price? I think your answer would be a lot of the folks in the RVs would rather have an affordable permanent unit to live in.
Sanford thinks there still aren't enough single-family homes in Watford City to meet the demand, even now, with the oil field slowing way down.
Those low prices also lead developers and banks, etc., to lose their nerve a little bit too. So I worry that we're really not going to get any more caught up during these times, but we're quite far behind the curve of where we need to be with permanent housing.
Watford City has staked its future on the price of oil coming back up. They built a new high school to accommodate the children of oil workers, a new jail, and yes, thousands of new houses and apartments. People here are confident that one day all these new townhouses will be filled and even more will be needed. But it's hard not to wonder, did they overbuild? Mayor Brent Sanford goes back to how unprepared Watford City was for the boom and says no.
First of all, you have to think about where we came from. A town of 1,700 people with 2 hotels and 3 apartment buildings and 600 dwellings.
Ultimately, it's not the town that's exposed if the properties go unfilled, it's the developers. Watford City made them pay for roads, sidewalks, and sewers out to their new developments. It's a lesson learned from previous busts. Limit the amount of debt the city takes on.
Basically, the city hasn't been contributing to the infrastructure. It's been the developer putting all of it in themselves and then turning it over to us.
Despite the low oil prices, the 50% vacancy rate, and the low rents, Walters says he's optimistic about the future of Watford City.
We feel that this area right here in Watford, which is right smack in the center of the geographical area for the Bakken, is better situated than some of the other areas.
When it comes to surviving an oil bust, there are two things that help: unfailing optimism and good real estate. People in Watford City have both. For Inside Energy, I'm Emily Guerin.